Hi, Professor. My name is Harun Rai, and my student ID is 100944374. Today, in this assignment, in this video assignment, I'll be sharing my three ethical dilemmas that I had encountered in my previous organization back in Nepal. So, first of all, let me give you a little bit background of my company that I used to work there. I will not tell my company's name, but I will tell you the industry that it is associated with. It is a digital wallet company, and then the industry it is associated uh, is fintech industry. And then the department that I was involved was business development department. What we used to do there is we used to onboard merchants in our platform. That means we used to provide payment gateway services to the companies who wishes to sell products online, or they those companies could integrate our payment gateway API in their websites or apps, and then make the delivery of products later. So the very first ethical dilemmas whenever I uh, have to talk that I remember is related to web scraping. During my time working there, we discovered that we could scrape data from our close competitors. From this, we could, get a merchant list, which is very efficient, which is very quick and then efficient, because we don't have to look for the merchants in Google, or ask someone else, and then approach those potential merchants or clients. This practice was technically feasible. Uh, it seems so. It was technically feasible, but it could pose, significant ethical concerns, as it involved collecting those merchant list, obviously without the permission of our competitors, right? So, what was at stake then? Uh, I think the ethical issues uh, was revolving around fairness and transparency regarding these particular ethical dilemmas. Because uh, if we collect uh, those data from our competitors, there would not be there would not be any fairness or transparency in the business, right? Uh, so even though the competitors' data was publicly available, uh, using it without their consent might feel like a breach of trust, not only in between the companies, but within the fintech industry itself, right? Uh, so the problem was, it was obviously important because it had potential to undermine market integrity. Uh, Obviously, there could be some short-term gains that that could that could help us to uh, outperform our competitors, but it would come at the cost of long-term reputational damage of our company. whenever I remember this thing, the um, with a reference to the textbook that we have now, I I find it very relatable with uh, this particular part of our textbook, which is in the page number 22, chapter 1, and then we can find it in, let me check. I have prepared a note so that I would not forget it. And just let me confirm it. I think it's chapter 4. Uh, Sorry, it's chapter 1, page number 22, and paragraph 3. So the title is Why Be Ethical? Why bother, or who cares? So summarizing this with my experience, this section tells us about the role of trust in business and the consequences of any unethical behavior in the long term. So the stakeholders who were involved uh, was the company that I was working there, and obviously the competitors. So these were the direct stakeholders uh, of this particular let's say dilemma, ethical dilemmas. Further, it could have affected the customer of both companies, which could potentially lead all of us, particularly our company, to a loss of trust within the fintech industry. And it directly refers to our chapter 2, and then page number 38, paragraph first, which the title is Ethical Dilemmas. So it tells us about the involvement of the stakeholders, which emphasizes the importance of identifying all the stakeholders affected by that particular ethical dilemma. Whenever I recall it, uh, and I ask myself, am I truly satisfied with the action that I took then? And then my answer would be, now at the moment, I'm somewhat little bit satisfied with my decision, because initially I hesitated to, do it, to scrape the data from our competitors' websites. But I eventually raised my concerns with the senior management. Uh, I told them the potential long-term impact of this particular activity. And then at last we decided not to pursue web scraping, but uh, instead of this, we went for the other options, like investing little bit financing, uh, mobilizing more market representatives, so that uh, we could get merchant list as soon as possible, and then we could approach them our products and services. So back then I didn't know about these 8 steps, which is particularly provided in this particular uh, book. But when I read, it is related to 8 steps to ethical decision making. which we can find in page number 53. And then, yeah, it's there. The title is 8 Steps to Sound. So the title is 8 Steps to Sound Ethical Decision Making in Business. So there are total 8 steps, which are like gathering the facts and then stating ethical issues or problems, and then in step three, identifying affected parties, which are stakeholders, and then so on. So I could relate my uh, that experience with this given title, and then I think now I could have applied these steps rigorously to be more ethical and then make a decision better. So this was my first ethical dilemma, and then another is I think many of us could directly relate to this experience. This is this particular thing was related to the charges. We used to call it API charges that we used to impose on the merchants while we onboard them in our platform. So yeah, whenever a merchant has to integrate our API to their platform, we used to charge them like 20,000 rupees, Nepalese rupees, which is like $200 in Canada. So let me give you a little bit brief about this particular ethical dilemma, and then I'll share more on this. Uh, One of my seniors in the department encouraged me to offer a lower API rate to clients and then take benefit from it. So how it would benefit me? The first thing is I could get a personal commission from the merchant because let's say uh, our standard price was 200 Canadian dollars, and then I could offer maybe $130 to the client, and then I could get a commission on top of that, so that so that potential merchant would not have to pay the whole $200. Like if I put my $20 commission there, the merchant would have to pay only $150. So they could have saved money, and then I could get the commission as my I could get my personal commission. Also, it could help me to get my sales target, meet sooner or on time at least. So this was the dilemma. But what was at stake then? As you see, this dilemma, gets involved the dishonesty and then obviously my personal gain at the professional environment at the expense of my company, right? And then it would risk uh, the client trust to my company, and in long term, the business relationships. Because from the very beginning, merchant would see us as one of the let's say unethical companies in our industry. So in the long run, our business relationship with the client would not be transparent and fair. Uh, so it is while I was going through the book, I saw a topic called thinking about integrity, which is in the page number 92 of chapter 3. Chapter 3, page 92, chapter 3, and then the topic is called thinking about integrity. In summary, so this whole topic talks about how an individual actions, uh, can compromise organizational trust in long term. And then talking about the stakeholders were the clients, my company, and my professional integrity. Because uh, any discovery of this manipulation could have resulted in a loss of trust from the clients and trust from the company, uh, trust of my trust to the company. And companies trust on me, which would also damage the company reputation, which is again related to the topic called uh, my no and let me just confirm it, thinking about consequences, right? Which basically says the ethical principle of considering how an action affects various stakeholders. So, am I satisfied with the steps that I took then? In that case, in that moment, I decided not to participate in this kind of activity. Rather, I focused on my long-term career plan, you know. So I refused to take any commission from the client. Yeah, in short term, it could have benefited me financially and also in my career because I could uh, outperform, right, in my department. But I knew this was not a sustainable, a long term, and more importantly, this was not an ethical way to let's say the sustainable career. So I think I made a right decision back then. Uh, Perhaps I could have raised this issue to the senior management when I think now uh, to act differently, so that this practice would not have expanded, all over the department to every single uh, of us. So this book has this particular title, which is in page number 72 of chapter 2. I think I took this note not in correct manner. This is in chapter 3, and the title is Ethical Awareness and the Ethical Judgment. So, in a nutshell, this title follows the way where we recognize the ethical problem and make a conscious decision to to not get involved in such such an unethical practices. I did the same. I had opportunities on my table, right? I could be benefited from my from that activity financially and then obviously professionally. But I did not choose that path. I rather chose the longer one. Maybe in some months I couldn't uh, achieve my target. Maybe I was, I was one of the low performers. But at this moment, whenever I think about that, I feel so happy. I feel so satisfied. Now, the third one was um, onboarding unauthorized, let's say illegal merchants in the platform. So in Nepal, uh, betting and then digital gaming, where someone has to put a bet or buy the games, some kind of coins or those kind of things, that is prohibited. For example, uh, whoever plays uh, PUBG. So yeah, in Nepal, digital gaming or betting is prohibited. For example, whoever plays PUBG or Free Fire, they can buy like the coins, digital coin or gems of the games, by paying some amount. That is prohibited. That is not legal in Nepal. But when PUBG came, many youths in Nepal, they enjoyed it a lot. So that there was a market for the PUBG coins, even though it was not allowed. Many people, they were selling those coins, and then making money, right? And then I personally met so many individuals who approached me and then offered me a good deal. In other cases, I had to I had to approach clients and then I had to offer um, my service and my product to them. But it was the reverse case in this particular uh, situation. Those we used to call them gaming merchants who used to sell digital coins and those kind of things to the customer. So they used to give us good commissions, not to me, but to the company. For the regular merchants, we used to charge like 3% of the transaction fee, but we could uh, we could charge like 10 or 15%, or in some cases 20% of the transaction fee to the gaming merchants. So see, we could have gained, financially a lot from these merchants, but it was illegal, prohibited by the government. And then, you know, my third ethical dilemma was involved, allowing gaming merchants in our platform. Even though this would have provided, you know, positive impacts, on my performance metrics. Many of those merchants were operating in a, let's say legal gray area, and uh, allowing them in our platform could have exposed the company to legal and then the ethical risk which were associated with it. Yeah, as I already told you before, it was related to both ethical and then the legal issues. Although onboarding these merchants in our platform would have benefited uh, to our financial metrics, which is in short term, but it could have resulted in long-term legal issues and harm to our reputation in the industry, in the fintech industry, which we can relate with one of the topics in our book, which is page number 136. Uh, the title is, I'm sorry, it's page number 132. The title is Customer Confidence Issues. So this section tells us about how ethical problems can undermine uh, the customer's confidence and then the brand trust in the long run, and which is very uh, important, which is very crucial for a lot for a business which is planning to remain for long years, for the long term, right? So what did I do then on this particular particular situation? Obviously, I chose not to onboard those kind of gaming merchants into our platform, even though yeah, I felt a little bit weird to myself because everyone was doing that. But now I think that was one of the best decision I made because it protected me and my company from the legal risk. I think it was one of the best decision that I have made because it protected me from the legal risk, and it helped me to maintain my ethical standards, professionally. Could I have acted differently? From this angle, maybe allowing Mortens could have boosted my, performance, individual performance, but it would have obviously compromise my ethical standing, right? So obviously, I think I would do the same. I shared three ethical dilemmas that I encountered. There are more, such situations that I face in my professional career, but I chose to share only these three as part of my assignment. Now, one of the questions would be why it was important for me to be ethical back then, even though there were so many opportunities and then so many benefits. I think in all these three situations, um, maintaining the ethical integrity and the ethical standard was very, very important for me. Uh, not only for my professional development, but also for the, my integrity, uh, trustworthiness to the companies. that I worked. Also, my whole life I have been guided by this one of my core values, which is, being ethical, which helps me to build my which helps me to build trust, and then it helps me to ensure my long-term sustainability, both personally and then career-wise. So, talking about my values that were involved in all these ethical dilemmas, were my integrity, which I already told, and then my honesty, uh, and then the responsibility. And in certain instances, situations, the cynicism uh, played a role in my decision making, particularly when I felt that the pressure from my management, my manager, to perform better, but there was ethical standards too, right? Which I never would compromise. However, I realized the success in long term is uh, possible through the ethical practices. Now, talking about my ethical approach, I think primarily I approached those dilemmas from deontological perspective, uh, focusing on, following my ethical rules and then the values, as well as the duties, such as the honesty and the fairness. But I also considered utilitarian principles when thinking about the long-term consequences of those actions. In conclusion, the ethical decision making is very, very essential. It is inevitable for the long term and the sustainable professional success. The dilemmas that I faced helped me to understand the importance of balancing the pragmatic concerns with ethical standards, which is important to build long-term trust and integrity. Thank you.